Welcome back to Live the Dream. Early on in counseling and coaching, one of my students that learned what I'm about to teach you insisted I do a video on this to help launch my new YouTube channel. He wants me to teach you all my secrets to leveraging silence in a professional environment. People use silence in every field. Performers use dramatic pause in order to get their point across. Professionals use silence to ensure nonverbal communications. And we even use silence to communicate our emotions to each other in our day-to-day life. How do we use this in a meeting environment? Well, the meeting room's not the place to be the life of the party, nor is it time to quietly take notes. This is the point in time that you need strategy in order to take control of the meeting and achieve your objective. In order to have a strategy, you need some tools. Today we're going to talk about one of these tools. Today we talk about the power of silence. Have you noticed that sometimes the people who say the least are the most focused on in a meeting environment? Some people know how to use silence to influence and dominate in an exchange. If you're already in charge, you have power through your position, and sometimes that's still not enough. But if you're not in charge, you have an even bigger challenge. You have to look like you have authority somehow. Here are some pointers for using silence in your next business exchange, other than the chair thing, especially if you're not self-employed yet. I'll get to the chair thing in a minute, though. You need to position yourself somewhere in the room that can allow you to be seen by most, and nonverbal communication can be made to most. Because of this, you can never be late to the meeting. Being early gives you the opportunity to position yourself where you want to be if there's no assigned seating. If you're the first one there, this is your time to verbally communicate to people entering the meeting and understand who you're dealing with. Make sure you have enough room where you sit to take up plenty of it. The more room you take up, the more important you come across as being yourself. Take a spot in the room that you can make eye contact with all or most of the power players. If you don't know the people in the meeting, you should position yourself as close to the head as possible while being able to see everyone. This is the chair thing I was telling you about. I knew a government contractor that used to attend bid meetings for construction work. He would remove a chair from his side of the table and add it to the other side, and that put him in a very influential position, where the people on his side of the table had room to look around each other and see him, and those on the opposite side of the table were forced to focus on him because they were shoulder to shoulder. This is a form of kind of extreme meeting preparation and manipulation, but it was effective if you can get away with it. In larger meetings, it's good. If you do this in the wrong meeting, though, it can come back and bite you real quick because somebody will figure it out. These situational tactics can be important when you're the one going up against the man, when you're the one that's challenging authority in the room. In some situations, you're in a meeting with complete strangers who seem to know each other or known each other forever. Many times, you may be establishing authority when everyone else has well-established authority with each other. In this case, you still have an advantage. If they know each other intimately in a business sense, they've also seen each other's faults. And this knowledge puts you in a unique situation to let them subconsciously play on their fears of each other, while you insert yourself as a new and trustworthy authority. When the meeting begins, it's okay to ask questions to clarify important points. But if you're in one of those meetings where everyone there wants to have their opinions heard, this is a time to take control through silence. Here's where it gets hard. You'll need a combination of nonverbal communication cues that allow people to see exactly what you're wanting them to hear. Yes, you heard that right. You want them to see exactly what you want them to hear. When someone's talking, you need to make a great deal of eye contact with them in order to make them think that you're passionately listening. But staring is a little creepy, so be careful not to cross the line. When you know someone's opinion would be of particular interest to someone else at the table, you can cue the other person to participate. You can let this participant take control by shifting eye contact between the two while the speaker's listening. This will also soften the speaker and allow for injection or interruption, depending on how they run the meetings. Change your focus from speaker to speaker, carefully internalizing what they're saying, but continue to scan the room for emotions and reactions. This gives you a chance to carefully plan your verbal tactics by understanding competing ideas or even having a deeper understanding of the problems and proposed solutions, much deeper than those who are too busy trying to be heard. Most of the arguments you would have missed if you were busy trying to speak, you get to hear, and this gives you a chance to process your thoughts well in advance of saying your first word, also doing so with less chance of opposition. Mastery of conversational cueing takes years, but the basic skills are simple to execute and will completely change your level of authority in meetings. Why do we spend so much time making sure people know that we're listening? If you're respectful to them while they're speaking, they will already be predisposed to the idea of listening to what you have to say. Sometimes people will get anxious or excited just to hear your response to what they said, especially when everybody in the room's already given their 2 cents. Timing is crucial in deciding when to speak if it's not invited. You don't want to wait so long that everyone's leaving or forgot what they were talking about, but you need to let people speak freely long enough to give you time to process your thoughts and use this newly found authority. If the person with positional authority over the meeting begins to look impatient for a consensus, that's a great time to interject. If everyone starts arguing with the opinions that have already been out there instead of constructive ideas, this is also a great time to interject. If it's just a normal meeting and you've already overcome all of the objections in your head, just make sure you have enough time to start your point during the scheduled meeting time if everyone's not made their points yet. Don't wait until 5 minutes before lunch to jump on your soapbox for a half an hour. That probably won't leave you in a position of authority for long. When it is time to speak, remember who you're making certain points to. It's okay to make eye contact with them when you're speaking, and this will allow allies to realize that you're on the same side and are seeing the same thing as they are. The more you know about your audience, the easier this part is. If you can make everyone an ally through perceived agreement with at least something they felt or said, you will have the attention of everyone in your audience. Emotion in a meeting can be one of the most powerful tools in making what you have to say have a lasting impact on the audience. You can use passionate speech at this point, which will make you just as credible as people who have studied the subject for years. Everyone wants something to be passionate about. And if you seem to be passionate about something, you usually encourage them to be on your side. Passionate speaking can encourage even your enemies to sway to your side of the table, even if it's short one chair. Trust me. Expertise on the subject can be helpful, but not as important as patience and passion. I bring up patience because you need it in order to survive this technique. Waiting for the right opportunity is a lot like hunting and many other lost skills in our current society. We don't like to wait. Well, at least not too long. We go to the store to pick up something we won't use for a week because 2 days on Prime will take too much time. We're impatient by nature and have trouble getting back to a place where it's okay to wait. We are high-power, energetic, go-getter entrepreneurs that need to always be in control and always moving forward. And patience can be hard to find when you're all wrapped up in what's happening. Exercising patience will make you come across as being wise. And the truth is, once you learn to leverage these skills, arguably, that is a form of wisdom. I'm sure some of you are in sales and wondering how this applies to you. In coaching, this has been one of my students' most enjoyed and used techniques in business meetings, and even in more competitive sales meetings. Now, in multi-party sales meetings, where you're the salesman, most of the time, your potential clients will give you all of their objections arguing with each other, giving you the chance to gather your thoughts and prepare a bulletproof response to everything they threw at each other right in front of you. Getting people to talk and listening is a powerful tool for sales teams. And I'll eventually have another video focusing on the 4 techniques for dominating in sales meetings. I'll leave you with a couple more nonverbal tips. Tip 1. Pay attention to people all the time throughout your entire day. Look at their nonverbal cues and start to read people. It's all about situational awareness. Pay attention to people and don't get too wrapped up in yourself to understand what other people are feeling. This is the part that really takes you to the next level. Practicing empathy will quickly open your mind to the possible objections or situations that are getting in your way. your way of controlling the outcome of the meeting or exchange. It can also make you more understanding of your opposition, allowing you to find better compromises that are beneficial to every party, not just yourself. This will also build future authority with other participants in the exchange, and word of mouth can be a very powerful tool. If you can master empathy, you can build a lot more allies than enemies in the business world. Tip number 2. When you say something you want people to think about or ask a rhetorical question, give a brief pause. Most agree that the ideal time to do this is 1.5 to 2 seconds. If you want them to think longer, after a second and a half, breathe in deep and out, then clear your throat. This will buy you another second and a half for them to think before resuming trying to take over the conversation. Keep eye contact with everyone and be ready to speak in case someone's trying to get a word in. But if you maintain eye contact with as many people as you can during the pause, people are less likely to interrupt. If you look down, everyone will jump right in and start speaking because they will think you're done. Tip number 3, use all the nonverbal tricks in the book. Use everything you have up your sleeve. Head position, nods, blinking, twinking, deliberate tells, emotional responses such as smiling, head tilts, and even general body language. Understand power positions, power posing, or even man spreading. This can all be tactical for the right environment. I hope you enjoyed this video from Live the Dream. I had a cool tagline where I'd point at the subscribe button and say click it. But Randy stole it and I have to come up with something new. So for now, I'll just say subscribe now and get important updates for our upcoming courses and even some great giveaway opportunities over the next few months. Amazon gift cards and some other cool stuff I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Just remember that you've already won if you're living the dream.